What's up, friends? Welcome back to today's video. If you're new here, my name is Josh. If you like outdoors, hunting, camping type content, consider subscribing. A few weeks ago, I did a poll and I asked people on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok for any questions that you guys had. I've never done that before. I get a lot of comments, a lot of private messages. There's quite a few of them, so I picked out some of them that I felt were the most relevant. Without further ado, let's get this started. How old are you? I am 43. Do you have a normal job? Yes, I work for the state of Arizona. So a lot of people have asked before, if you're new here, if you're not familiar, the channel name used to be Shepherd's Daily Lives. I used to be a dog handler and work with my canine partner, Apollo. Apollo passed away roughly 3 years ago now. We did missing persons and homicide. I worked with him on and off for about 9 years. He had an injury, and thankfully to Project Canine Hero, based out of, I believe they're in Tennessee now, but at the time they were based out of Michigan. They ended up paying for his surgery. Apollo had some rough times because of that. He got an infection from the hardware 2 or 3 different times. Now that I know several people that have dogs that went through an amputation, that's probably the biggest thing that haunts me to this day, is that why didn't I just go through with an amputation? That's how I got started on all this social media stuff. I had big, huge followings on several of the platforms. Amazing people that contributed to his overall health and wellness, donating stuff, money. As the years have gone on, I just felt like it was more important to rebrand and kind of step back away from just doing dog stuff. I wanted to do something that not only I was passionate about, but I had fun doing, and it didn't feel like a job. It just felt like it was a job all the time, going out and filming. But this is who I am, I grew up doing this, and this is truly what I'm passionate about. The people that have stuck around through the journey of who I am and have continued to, support me, thank you guys all so much. And to all you new people, welcome, and hope you guys enjoy this as well. Thank you for being here. All right, moving on. Next question. Are you married? No, I am not married. That's a very traumatic story behind itself. I am divorced. That's kind of like a two-part thing, because I was engaged to somebody else. She passed away and ultimately took her own life. Her name was Vanessa. After Vanessa took her life, as you can imagine, really hard. I'm not sure that I want to go really into detail about that relationship. I think I'm just going to leave that one right where it is. Do you have any brothers and or sisters? I do. I have 2 brothers. I have an older brother. He is actually out here in Arizona as well. I wouldn't say we have a terrible relationship, but I wouldn't say we have a great one either. And that's honestly, I'm not going to just blame him. A lot of that's myself too. I just, have growing still to do. It's one thing, dude. If somebody tells you ever that they're just to a point where they've grown and they're just fully mature, they're just full of crap, because that's not true. One thing that I don't talk about a lot, and this will kind of give a better understanding of why I don't have a great relationship with him, or, my little brother at times. I was just super rebellious. I made a lot of bad decisions when I was younger. My father, mine and my older brother's father, left us when we were young kids. Didn't want us, signed up for his rights, and ultimately my mom met an incredible man named Mark. He has been, the face of what shaped us and molded us into men and good people, but that didn't come at a cost, right? There's a lot of pain that I caused, crap that I did. Still to this day, that man is, if I become half the man he is, I'm doing good. I don't think that I could ever fill his shoes as a man or compared to that. He's just a really good person. If you guys are out there, you might have been in that situation too. That's a hard situation. When you grow up in a broken home, you're going to experience a lot of different changes in hormones, puberty, just as yourself growing. What I would encourage you to do is keep an open mind, keep relationships, keep people close to you. If you're spiritual, I have a relationship with Jesus. That helps. But the biggest thing, man, get a counselor, get a therapist. If you don't feel comfortable talking to friends, or, you need a clear perspective from somebody you don't know, there is places like BetterHelp. I actually use that, so you can switch at any time, and it doesn't cost you anymore. Get help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You can look like me, have tattoos, or you could be the most professional person in the world. We all hurt, but we're all human. Next question. How did you get into hunting? How I got into outdoors first. So let's go there. When I was a young man, a little boy growing up, I had my favorite cousins in the world were Keith, Eric, and Carrie. My Uncle Keith and my Aunt Fran. Every year, my Uncle Keith would go on this fishing trip up to Mammoth. He would go openers and closers for trout. And we started going. But that was really like where I got my passion from, being in the outdoors. I just loved being with my cousins. Uncle Keith, man, he was just so freaking awesome. That's where it started from, was just going on those fishing trips, which then, you know, over the years combined, I started getting into things like, whether that was through friends from school that, you know, did hunting. The next thing for me after fishing and how I got into like the hunting aspect after high school and everything like that, that's when it changed, man. Like I really got into like the outdoors, whether it was fishing, hiking, camping, hunting. It all came at like once. And I met this good dude, Lawrence. Me and him, we were just like tight. Back in the day, he lived in like Corona. I lived in like Rancho Cucamonga at the time. He really got me into dove hunting. One day he was like, just come with me. I had a blast, and that sent it for me. From that moment forward, I couldn't get enough. I would just go explore. A couple of times that he and I went, he would show me some spots. Years later, I would go back around those spots, and it just kind of snowballed from there. As I've gotten older, I really resonate with being outdoors more than I like being around people, to be completely honest. A lot more introverted and have a lot more fun when I'm outdoors. So hope that answered that question. How did you get started with social media? I pretty much already answered that one, like going back through the whole thing with Apollo. So rewind back to that one. What's your biggest secret? Here's a really big secret. It's kind of like a two-parter. My biggest secret is I struggle with identity still. And here's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, you could look a certain way, you could be a certain person, but if you're being really honest with yourself and you're being intentional with relationships with people, you're not all put together. You're full of shit if you say that you are. Been through, you know, like years of counseling and therapy. I am really consistent with my therapist every week. You know, once a week I meet with my therapist. And that just like really helps, you know, keep me grounded. Ever since I was a little kid, I've just always struggled with identity, wanting people to like me. Getting into entertainment industry, I did a lot of work with celebrities. I think a lot of it was just because I got bullied in high school too. Years later, like when, you know, you can come back to all your bullies and be like, hey, you know, like I'm working with 30 Seconds to Mars or Linkin Park, you know, take that kind of thing just to like look cool. With that, my biggest current secret is, not a lot of people know this, not even my family, vaping. I recently quit vaping about like 2 weeks ago. Most people have never known that I vaped. I was a hardcore smoker for many years, cigarettes, and have never went back. And then coming out here to Arizona, I didn't smoke anymore. I met some friends. They were doing these vapes, man, and I got into it. And I feel great now that I don't do it. The vaping, maybe that's not like such a big deal to other people, but it's a big deal to me. I've had my lungs collapse, and I have big indentations right here from my lungs collapsing. It's not a good thing, you know. Vaping is not healthy. So if you vape and you think that's cool, find another hobby, another alternative. Really into the gym, and it's just wanting like better health. I felt the vaping. My chest would hurt. I had a hard time breathing. I just was like, I gotta stop this. And let me tell you, it is not easy quitting. I read this study about vaping in particular. Vaping is way harder and more addictive than heroin, cocaine, and alcohol combined. It is gonna be that much harder for you to stop. You can do it. I did it. I quit cold turkey. I literally was like, I'm over it. I texted my brother and was like, man, I can't do this anymore. And I quit. So now I'm like hitting the gym hard. You know, like my arms are getting big, my chest is getting bigger. If you're, you know, young and you're vaping now, you're gonna like think it's not gonna hurt you. Like, it is years down the road. That is my biggest secret, vaping. I'm eating about, give or take, 250 to 300 grams of protein a day, between 4,500 and 5,500 calories a day. Focusing on my health, I think that's super crucial. Moving on. What is your biggest regret? I think just not being present with people. If I'm being honest with myself, I can be selfish, man. I can be selfish. And there's a lot of times I've had people close to me die. Connect with people. Even if you're introverted like me, because you don't know how much time you're going to have. And when that time is gone and that person's gone, you are going to live in regret with not, amending those relationships, spending more time with them. You can have the perfect relationship with them. You have the worst relationship with them. I would just say, just be present, man. Just be present every experience that you have with whomever it is, whether you're at work, whether, you're with family, well, strangers, just be present. That is my biggest regret. The biggest way that I carry myself throughout my life now is I don't live with that. I experience and I'm present at any moment. To give you an example, I have a friend from work. We had kind of had a little tiff the other day. Josh, 20 years ago, I'd have blown up, just like been a jerk and everything, and then, he took some time, and then I came back and was like, hey man, like, don't man up to me, like, tell me what's going on, and I think that's the difference between Josh back then and Josh now, because Josh cares. Like, when you're present, you care about people, you're going to show up differently, and that's important. That's really key. That will help you whether you're single, married, like whatever. It's just so key to connect with people and be present. Why do you not post frequently on YouTube, and why do you take a long break on YouTube? Those are two questions, but it's one answer. So I'm going to just kind of go off here on a tangent. Some of it I'm not going to be able to say because it is currently in litigation. Why I take breaks on YouTube is I got scammed about $20,000 out of my truck and about $20,000 to $25,000 out of brand endorsements and sponsorships because of this one person. My Deisel has had so many problems, and I met a guy that I thought that we were friends, and at first we didn't have problems. I don't know if I was just, like at the time his just number one repeated customer, but it was like my truck was always going back for something. It's my first Deisel. There's just something's not right here. What made the kettle black? He screwed me over on my injectors. Charged me about like $7,000 to $8,000 on injectors. Ended up putting like used ones, or he didn't put in brand new injectors. So now I can't drive the Deisel again. On and off, my truck was in his shop for like 2 years, right? About 6 months of this alone, when you change injectors, you have to update your computer. He didn't do that with mine, so mine kept throwing the same code over and over and over and over and over and over until he finally figured it out, called a company in Lake Havasu, and they told him, you need to update that computer. Once he updated that, that problem was gone. Brought me to a new problem. High pressure oil pump, ICP sensor. I mean, the list goes on. So when I say I lost brand deals and brand sponsorships as well, what ended up happening was I was demonetized on YouTube because of this. Because I didn't have my truck, I couldn't film. Like where I would go, when I would go film and stuff, I didn't have the Camry at that time. I just had my one truck. And so when I didn't have the truck, I couldn't do anything for like, 2.5, 3 years. And in that time frame, on and off, he just always had it. When they demonetized me, it was because, so here's one thing that YouTube doesn't tell you guys. When you're a content creator, they don't have to tell you when they change their guidelines. I did not know this. That is up to you to figure out. When I found that out, it says that they don't have to tell you. And they demonetized my channel. So I lost money in that. I lost big brand deal sponsors that I had. So now I have the Deisel listed for sale. Now I'm out, and I don't, probably my biggest complaint is I don't know what's actually broken on my truck. What he actually fixed right, was corrected. What's not corrected, I don't really know. So I have to buy new injectors again. I found a guy locally to me. He has nothing but good reviews. I've already met with him one time. When I took this new job, I took a pay cut. Because I needed the retirement, I needed the benefits, I needed all that stuff. So I'm not making what I used to make. Haven't been able to fix that truck like I want to right now, be out here filming and doing all this stuff. So unfortunately, that's kind of taking a back seat at the moment until the truck gets fixed. I just bought the kayak. I've only taken the kayak out one time, and then the injectors went. And I'm like, I spent a good 3 months just being over it. And it's like, I'm not putting any more money into that truck. Now I can't even sell it. At the market right now, all the way around from inflation. You know how many Deisels are for sale right now? Tons. So I'm not the only one, missing out. I filed with the state attorney general's office a complaint. There was like 10, 11 other people that, high dollar amounts, right? Like 10,000, me close to 20,000. And I have receipts to prove everything. I've never felt so violated, losing a relationship with a friend to ultimately losing that kind of money. I've never lost that. The plan is either, if I can sell the truck, I'm gonna sell it. And because of all the crap he did, I had to take out a personal loan on that truck. So I got about $8,000 left on that personal loan. And I'm just getting super personal because I don't really care. I'd love to just go get a brand new Tacoma tomorrow. I can't do that because what am I gonna do? They're not gonna take on my other debt from a personal loan. I have a monthly payment with that. Figured if I can sell the truck, private party, I'll just use that money and pay off that loan and then go finance a truck later. Right now, I can't sell it. People are lowballing me and I know what it's worth. I'm not trying to get over what it's worth, just fair market value, including the fact taking off money that the injector's gotta be redone. I'm just gonna fix it and move on and hope that, you know, nothing else goes wrong with it. But it's starting to get hot. I don't know if you guys like this kind of video. I tried to get vulnerable, open up a little bit so you guys kind of get more of an idea of who I am as a person. But I appreciate you guys staying and watching all this. Hope that answered some of your guys' questions. So I'm gonna jam out of here. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Again, if you guys like hunting, outdoors, camping type content, consider subscribing. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.